Free healthcare, dropping student debt, universal unemployment benefits, caring about the homeless? American politicians and pundits are suddenly taking all those things very seriously. Like, if you happen to be coming back from a 12-day silent meditation retreat with Jared Leto, you might think, wow, is Bernie president? Am I the Joker again? No, honey, it's a pandemic. I'm Francesca Fiorentini, and yeah, this is where I pay rent. And though Bernie Sanders may not be president, today we're looking at 6 ways coronavirus is proving him right. Welcome to another season of News Broke. If you had told me back then that 4 years into the Trump administration we would be filming under quarantine from our homes, I would have been like, yep, that checks out. Has he been impeached? Of course. What we're going through is so surreal and scary. And since everyone is stuck at home anyway, we also thought it was the perfect time to bring back News Broke and look at a number of aspects of this moment with a skeleton crew, no animations, and my cat running camera. Good job, baby. She's an indoor. Coronavirus has rapidly done a number of things. Besides spread and take lives, it's also somehow made President Trump really jealous. It's almost like he's mad another younger, hotter pathogen has gone more viral than he has. It has also exposed deep structural problems in our healthcare system, our economy, and our political systems. Coronavirus is like a blacklight shining on our econo-lodge of a country. The bed seems sturdy, but you do not want to see what's holding it together. There are problems that Bernie Sanders has been sounding the alarm on for decades, which are all now painfully on display, just like my bookshelf of IKEA boxes is painfully on display. I have limited closet space. So let's look at 6 ways that the coronavirus has shown that Bernie Sanders might be onto something. That guy should run for president one day. The obvious first is healthcare. Coronavirus has hit the US when 30 million of us still don't have health insurance, and 500,000 of us go bankrupt every year just trying to pay for medical costs, even with insurance. Bernie Sanders has long advocated for a national healthcare system, Medicare for All, which covers all people with no out-of-pocket costs.
It ends all premiums. It ends all copayments. It ends the absurdity of deductibles.
And that has been met from both Republicans and Democrats with that all too familiar question. You know the one.
How are we going to pay for it?
How are you going to pay for it?
How are we going to pay for many of these things?
They don't know who's going to pay for it.
How are we going to pay for it?
Doesn't show enough about how we're going to pay for it.
The same way we pay for most healthcare expenses in this country. GoFundMe. Enter COVID-19. Tens of thousands of Americans suddenly need rapid testing, hospital beds, and sometimes respirators, and the richest country in the world hasn't been able to provide them. Healthcare workers themselves are not only in short supply, but so is their basic protective gear, like face masks, to safely treat patients. And that's to say nothing of the magazine selection in hospital waiting rooms. It's just the same 3 issues of Highlights magazine. I've already read The Dog Who Helped Save Whales. Drivel. Our massively privatized system is clearly not designed to handle a national crisis like this, and that's dawning on everyone, which is why we're now hearing a strangely familiar tune from a far too familiar face.
Earlier this week, I met with the leaders of health insurance industry who have agreed to waive all co-payments for coronavirus treatments, extend insurance coverage to these treatments, and to prevent surprise medical billing.
Okay, but how are we gonna pay for it, right? Anyone? Weird. In fact, coronavirus is giving some corporate media pundits ideological whiplash.
In the space of 3 weeks, I've gone from asking questions like, how do we pay for certain policies, to retweeting tweets from the likes of Bernie Sanders and Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez.
Oh, Lady Chatterley, you naughty girl. What a difference a doomsday makes. It's almost like when millions of people suddenly need urgent care and could infect us all, the money is there. Coronavirus is kind of like if poverty became contagious. Suddenly everyone's like, a poor just sneezed on me. Oh God. Oh, my 401k is burning up. But just in case you thought the US has learned its healthcare lesson, rest assured, we haven't. In fact, what Trump said about COVID-19 treatment being covered, that's not actually true. Yes, Congress passed the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, which did include free testing, but not treatment. That's why private health insurance companies aren't covering the cost of treatment, only the test, if you can get one. And at this point, health facilities are guarding them like bridge trolls.
The test is free, but answer me these questions 3.
Patients are already getting a taste of how much it costs to survive coronavirus. For one Boston woman, it was almost $35,000. And her case isn't that unique. A new study by the Kaiser Family Foundation finds that the average cost of COVID-19 treatment for someone with employer insurance and without complications would be about $9,763. Someone whose treatment has complications may see bills about double that, over $20,000. Oh, and if you have insurance, all that out-of-network, in-network billing maze that so many of us know about, that's still in place. So it's a good thing that we have nothing but time in quarantine. Medical debt from surviving coronavirus will further strap Americans during what could be an economic depression as a result of the pandemic. Before this all happened, Bernie Sanders warned about the crippling cost of medical debt and called to drop all of it. That was in addition to his calls to drop $1.6 trillion in student loan debt. Now that millions are out of work, that radical idea of dropping debt isn't all that radical anymore. New York's Attorney General just suspended collections on both medical and student debt in response to the pandemic. Sure, it's only for 30 days, but that's just enough time to pack your bags and get a one-way flight to Costa Rica. They're cheap. Don't come back. Never return. Coronavirus has exposed just how little job security workers in this country have. 4 in 10 hourly workers don't have paid sick leave. And overall, the less money you make, the less likely you are to have it. Back in 2015, Bernie was a co-sponsor of the Family and Medical Leave Insurance Bill and spoke some pretty prescient words.
We have a situation where people in this country, by the millions, have no guaranteed sick leave. And especially in areas like the food industry, sick people are handling our food. And the reason for that is that they do not have any paid sick leave.
Yeah, restaurant workers not having sick leave is truly the cruelest twist of consumerist capitalism. COVID or not, illnesses inevitably get passed to the customers. If you think about it, restaurant owners are basically outsourcing the diarrhea, and that's the real trickle-down economics. In our current crisis, restaurant workers and other tipped workers, hourly wage earners, gig workers, domestic workers, and farm workers have all been hit the hardest. Shifts are disappearing, workers are being let go, and if they or their loved ones get sick, most of them can't take time off. Bernie has supported legislation for those workers in particular through his Workplace Democracy Plan, which among other things has sought protections for Uber and Lyft drivers, saying companies shouldn't be able to misclassify workers as independent contractors or label them as a supervisor, and calls for just cause legislation which would prohibit employers from firing workers for anything other than their performance on the job, which would mean a pandemic wouldn't be just cause to fire you, but not finishing your wet food and only eating the dry is. She's fired. And wouldn't you know it, with COVID-19, Congress has now mandated paid sick and family leave as part of their emergency relief package.
So you can take up to 2 weeks off and you will be paid your full wage, and you can take up to 3 months off and be paid 2/3 of your pay. For people who work these gig jobs, independent contractors, they get a tax credit of the equivalent amount. So that's a sea change. I mean, workers have been calling for this for years, and we finally got it.
Yeah, okay, let's temper the excitement because it actually only covers 48% of the workforce and also offers tax credits to companies for providing sick leave, which is like insane, right? Like, why are we rewarding companies for doing the right thing? That's like making a priest a bishop because he didn't touch children. Some businesses have even taken it upon themselves to change their paid sick leave policies in light of coronavirus. And CEOs voluntarily changing their sick leave policies is the biggest indicator that they were probably trash to begin with, like McDonald's, which usually only gives 5 days paid time off for hourly employees. So that's 1 day off for Christmas, 1 day off for New Year's, 1 day off when you get your hair stuck in the McFlurry mixer, and 2 days off to fix it! Of course, none of those concessions are coming from the goodness of these CEOs' hearts. In fact, another Bernie prophecy that's coming true is corporate greed. McDonald's, in fact, secretly lobbied the Trump administration to not expand paid sick leave benefits for workers any further. And man, would I love to have been a fly on the wall during that negotiation. Mr. President, it would be a shame if we had to discontinue the fillet of fish. Stop right there. Who do you want me to kill? Then there's Bernie's line, you know, the one about the millionaires and the billionaires. It can sometimes get tiresome, but you really start to see the depths of billionaires' greed in times like this. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos, a man who made more money today than your entire bloodline, agreed to finally give workers 2 weeks paid sick leave for those infected with coronavirus, but not before he refused to shut down factories in Spain and Italy where 5 workers there were diagnosed with it. 4 senators, including Bernie Sanders, wrote a letter to Bezos imploring him to consider covering the costs of coronavirus testing for his workers at fulfillment centers and at least give them enough break time to wash their hands, which apparently is a big ask considering workers there don't even have enough time to go to the bathroom. Let's remember, Bezos is a guy who makes the salary of an average Amazon employee every 9 seconds. But they can't take breaks to pee? Man, there's already a class war. Workers are just losing it. Now everyone's talking about social distancing. Well, no one is more socially distant than Bernie Sanders. He doesn't even like wishing people a happy birthday.
I'm not good at pleasantries. If you have your birthday, I'm not going to call you up to congratulate you, say you love me and you write nice things about me. I've been amazed at how many people respond to, "Happy birthday! Oh, Bernie, thanks so much for calling." You know, it works. It's just not my style.
Bernie already treats every social situation like he could possibly contract COVID-19. Birthdays, New Year's, even Passover. Yeah, I'll come to the Seder as soon as Elijah shows up. He never shows up. We're all in this together. We've heard that from many people when talking about coronavirus, everyone from the head of the World Health Organization, to Madonna in a bathtub full of rose petals, to Vice President Mike Pence.
We're all in this together.
And by this, I mean the ark that I've been building in my yard, which will whisk us away from God's plague. Now I need 2 of every straight animal. Not you, flamingos. There's no question that we are all in this together when it comes to an international health crisis. But whether or not you survive it absolutely depends on your privilege and wealth. Because from our healthcare to our jobs to how we get our food, the US isn't designed for solidarity, collectivity, or the common good. It's designed for a few people to get rich, get excellent healthcare, or have job stability. The rest of us scrape by. And Bernie Sanders has spent his political career pointing that out.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. reminded us we have socialism for the rich and rugged individualism for the poor and for other people.
And when it comes to that concept of true solidarity, it's kind of been Bernie's guiding principle for years.
What I believe in and what my spirituality is about is that we're all in this together. That I think it is not a good thing to believe that as human beings we can turn our backs on the suffering of other people.
Whatever you think about him, Bernie's ideas are speaking to our current crisis like never before. In part because what we're going through as a country is an acceleration of what's been happening for decades. It's a speed up. So it's up to us. Will the US come around to recognizing and fixing the basic flaws in these systems? And can we afford not to? You guys, this is Newsbroke back in quarantine. Like this video, share this video, subscribe, do all the things, tell all the people, and we will see you sooner than later. I mean, honestly, where am I going?